Hey food fans, welcome to Cooking Like a Pro with Chef Cal and me, Mrs. Chef, his wife Christa DeMercurio. We're dishing out culinary intuition, insights, and imagination to spice up your meals and make cooking more fun. On today's episode, my chef husband and I discuss stainless steel cookware, ways to use a Costco roasted chicken, and how to cook a Cedar plank salmon with a side of creamy polenta. Let's dig in. Today's episode was broadcast and recorded live on AM/FM radio.
Welcome, one and all to Cooking Like a Pro. Thank you for tuning in. This is Chef Cal, homegrown Reading resident, along
and
with my
chef, also homegrown
resident. My beautiful wife Christa sitting across from me. She is also homegrown, so we are from the North State. And again, you found us at Cooking Like a Pro. Now, if they want to send us a question, they can do that, correct?
From your phone, you can text at cookinglikeapropodcast.net.
Cookinglikeapropodcast.net. I am so glad that I have this beautiful wife that knows all this tech stuff, because we'd be dead in the water. So I want to start off talking about something, because I had just a great conversation yesterday with my stainless steel guy. And I had this because I did a video cooking in an aluminum pot, okay, and that was a while back. I think it's on YouTube. But anyway, the challenge that you have with aluminum, and this is what we grew up with in the industry. Everyone had aluminum. Every restaurant you went into has aluminum. Most of them still have aluminum. The challenge, though, is they become pitted and they'll leach into your food, and it's something that you just don't want. These aluminum pots, aluminum not good for you. It's not good for you. So what you want is stainless steel. And I found out some very interesting information about that. So when you go and you get your pots, you want stainless steel, and you want pots. Now we're talking about pots that you might cook a sauce in or a soup in. You want very heavy bottoms because you want it to cook evenly. If you have a real thin pan where you've burnt something, that's probably a fairly thin pan. So you want thick on the bottom, and then you want a stainless steel. And there's two different types of stainless steel that they make this out of. It's a 300 series, which is what you want, and a 400 series, which is what you don't want. And I learned the trick. He showed me the trick. The trick is a magnet. Because if it's a 400 series, which it's a different type of stainless steel, still stainless steel, but it has more iron in it. And a magnet will stick to iron. So if a magnet sticks to your pan, you don't want that. What you want is a 300 series, and which a magnet will not stick to because it's fortified with nickel, and nickel's much stronger metal than iron is. So you go out there, get your pots and pans, bring your magnet, make sure that it does not stick to it, and you got a better, more durable stainless steel.
Now, what about all these like tri-ply type pots and pans where they will even have copper in them for conduction? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and they have copper isn't bad for you. I know that we used to drink out of copper cups, copper glasses, and copper is very beneficial. It has a lot of good health properties, so there's no problem with that. And then if you're cooking table side, they use the old French would be, and that's what I was trained when I came up, is using copper pans because they're super thin, but they have
great conduction, right?
Yeah, they conduct the heat and it spreads out. It's kind of like cooking with infrared.
So what about aluminum? Aluminum foil, aluminum pans.
Aluminum foil. Okay, well, how many folks out there, and go ahead and raise your hand, not if you're driving, but have covered something with aluminum foil, especially something like lasagna. That's just a great thing to look at, because lasagna generally will have a lot of tomato. Tomato is acid, and acid will eat through that aluminum foil. And you also want a thicker aluminum foil, but if you're going to cover something in foil, and trust me, this is the way to do it, first cover it in plastic. And I know my wife very much was surprised that I did that.
It's got to be professional grade plastic.
Yeah, but I do it all the time. I'll cover with a really heavy duty wrap, and then I'll cover with foil. Bake it, and then just get those products off of there. Because we don't want to add any more. We got enough plastic in our water, our soil, and
but things are packaged are packaged in aluminum cans. So
those are coated. And that's why they put, expiration dates of, I mean, you could, we could have bought Spam when we first got married, and it would still have 20 years on it from
with
now.
Twinkies on the side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't know how those are made, but anyway, when you're going out there and you're getting your saute pans, and I recommend, having a pan, a saute pan, something that's like a 6 inch is usually what you use for eggs. Then you can use, either 4 or 6 for eggs or for omelets. And you really want a good 12-inch pan. 12-inch pan is by far the most used pan in the industry, a 12-inch saute pan. Now remember, we said saute means that the food, the word saute means to jump, like a frog jumps. So the food will jump in the pan so you can, flip it, keeping it close to the fire, but flip it as well. But then you want like a 1 quart, a 2 quart, a 4 quart, an 8 quart. So you got 4 quarts in a gallon. So you got a quarter gallon pot, a half gallon pot, a full gallon pot, and then 2 gallon pot. And those are you want with handles. And that's what you use for making your soups and making your sauces.
Now, what about nonstick? Because the traditional nonstick is going bye-bye. They're saying no to, but now I'm seeing a lot of this ceramic coated nonstick.
Well, first talking about nonstick, the challenge with nonstick is that Teflon comes off.
Yeah.
Right? And you're eating it. It's in your food. Especially, again, high acid, preparations.
Or if you use the wrong utensil.
And then you scrape it, and then you got even more of a problem. But the ceramics are a new thing, and they've just been out for a short period of time. And I know Ramsey's got a set, but I was looking at them down in Costco, and I'm not paying that much for a pan ever. But again, the ceramic as well, from what I understand now, and I've talked to the guy there for quite a while, the ceramic is fine as well. It's just, you just want to stay away from the aluminum. And make sure you have a magnet when you go out to get that. So you want some sauce pots, you want some soup pots, and you want some saute pans. That's really the main things. And then also look at your ingredients. Because if a magnet, sticks to your stainless steel fork, then that means it's got iron in it. So it's going to be more flimsy. If it doesn't stick to your stainless steel spoon or fork, then it's the 300 series, so it's nickel. So it's going to be a much more steady, utensil.
However, when it comes to magnets, if you are using an induction burner, they have to have a magnetic bottom. That's how they work. They've worked through a magnetic type interface.
I highly recommend going with at least one infrared, container, or excuse me, not container, but appliance in your house, because they heat evenly, but they heat up immediately. I mean, water will boil in a matter of seconds. And it's just because it's such a drastic heat, and it comes out. It's very, very intense, and plus it's electric. So like for us, we cook on propane, so we cook on gas, but we cook on the infrared quite a bit, and especially if you're want to save some money on gas.
Yeah, well, and as we're moving towards, especially in California, there will be no more gas appliances. If they can get away with it.
No, with everything going on in California, something's got to happen. I don't know. They might have us revert back to the Stone Age.
And you can't get a glass lawnmower.
Wood utensils, for all I know. And we're going to be running from. I don't know. We won't get into all of that, because it is a food program and a kitchen program and an industry program. So, the stainless steel was something I wanted to make sure that I share. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. This is Cooking Like a Pro. Chef Cal. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Cooking Like a Pro. Yes. A little Flim flam? Prim fram.
And happy National Bagel Day, by the way.
National Bagel Day. Oh, you have to let us know ahead of time. I had a bagel once, and it was a bagel shop, and since I'm going down a rabbit hole
I'm about to get hungry, I can already tell.
This was up in Bandon.
Yeah,
Bandon,
Oregon.
Bandon, Oregon, up there on the coast, and we went to this bagel shop, and I've never had a bagel that was this light. Usually eating a bagel is like, I don't know, it's almost like eating rubber it's pretty, I don't know what's the word, cloggy or something. It's just dense.
Gummy.
Yeah.
Well, because bagels are boiled first. They boil them in malt water.
Of course they are.
And, yeah.
Yeah. But this one wasn't. Remember how airy that was?
Yeah, and I tried to get the recipe from them, and they wouldn't give it to me.
Yeah.
I tried.
Can't remember the name of that place, but how many bagel shops can there be? It was right there on the on the wharf where everybody was walking by, and someone had recommended it.
I think it was just Bandon Bakery.
Okay, well, let's get back into chicken, okay? Because we were talking about chicken.
We're talking about chicken.
Yeah. Well, I grabbed that Costco chicken. I mean, $4.99. It's a pretty good deal. Anyways, but how much can you eat, right? When I get a Costco chicken, the first thing I do is I open up the top, and then I reach my hand in there and I rip off a thigh and a leg, and then I gnaw on it because I'm a dark meat person.
When you get home, not at Costco.
Yeah, not at Costco or not in the car, but when I get home, because I just like dark meat. Dark meat has more fat. Fat is flavor. White meat, it can dry out. But anyway, but how often do you bring a Costco chicken home and eat all of it? I mean, there's 3 of us at home, and it's just really probably would feed about 6. So I thought, well, okay, all you folks out there that are getting these roasted chickens, whether it's from there or somewhere else, this just you're going to have leftovers. So what do we do with the leftovers? So one of the first things that came to me, and because I know we do this a lot, is like an Oriental chicken salad. I know that Wolfgang Puck, who I got a chance to work with, kind of started that whole. He called it a chopped Chinese salad, and that was kind of where it was birthed. Maybe a couple of decades ago or 25 years ago, whenever it was. But it was down in L.A., and that was the first place I'd ever seen it.
Down at Spago?
Yep. No, it wasn't Spago. This was at one of his. He has a pizza line, and I went in there. Beautiful little restaurant, but it was kind of a lunch place and more casual, and it was fantastic. But it was and it's really easy to make the dressing. You're really just looking at a cup of rice vinegar, and then you got your sesame oil, salt, sugar. And maybe a little xanthan gum, tighten it up, and then a few drops of chili oil. So, get yourself a recipe. It's real easy. All those ingredients are very shelf stable.
And actually, if you want to cheat, the Newman's Asian ginger dressing is really good.
Yeah. Well, I always stick with Paul Newman. I know he's gone, but so much of his dressings are charitable. It's a philanthropic, venture that he started that's been carried on, and it just the money goes to some great causes. So if you're going to grab a dressing, pay the extra, buck, but anyway, we'll have to research that at some point. But another one was chicken cacciatore. And while the chicken's warm, that's when you want to pull all the meat off of it.
So basically, when you bring a chicken home, eat it right then. And if you're not going to eat it right then, go ahead and pull it before it cools.
Yeah. Or whatever you end up eating and using, and then whatever's left, go ahead and pull it off while it's still warm. And then now you just have what we call pulled chicken meat. And you do a chicken cacciatore, you get yourself some olives and garlic and bell peppers and tomatoes, and you got a great idea. Throw some penne pasta or any type of, I like pasta with like rigatoni is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Because rigatoni is got a big hole in the middle of it. And think about this. You get sauce inside the noodle and you get sauce on the outside of the noodle. So you just get more flavor. There's more surface area to be able to soak up that flavor. So that's a good one.
For anybody else that was homegrown around here, if you remember the Italian Cottage, over on Hilltop, that's what I grew up with. They had the most fantastic chicken cacciatore with bubbly, ooey gooey mozzarella cheese and Parmesan,
yeah, you put mushrooms in there.
Oh, it was so good.
But one of the key ingredients really is olives. That's one of those different kind of things that you'd put your green olives in there. Or, calamata olives. Those are also good as well. But you can always make, a chicken soup. Just don't let the chicken go to waste. Okay, in our, like where we live, you don't want to give the chickens the chicken. Well, usually the dog would eat it before the chickens. Chickens are carnivores.
Yeah, they love chicken. Chickens love chicken.
Yeah, those girls are, they'll eat it. But anyway,
but when you break down chicken really quick, so if we pull off all the dark meat, the legs, the thighs, all the wing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, pull the breast off.
Would you pull the whole lobe of the breast off if you're going to save it? Or would you pull it completely?
I would cut it off.
Okay.
Yeah, get a thin, long, bony knife and cut it off because, then you can slice it for sandwiches, once it cools down, something like that.
And then save the carcass.
Save the carcass, make a good chicken stock, and now you got your chicken noodle soup, especially I'm pretty sure it's winter time. It doesn't seem like it outside, but,
According to the calendar, it is.
Yeah, or make yourself a nice bone broth, but don't throw that extra flavor in the garbage. Make sure that you utilize it, total utilization.
And you can completely freeze chicken broth, chicken stock.
Yep, let it boil off with some onions. Use your bouquet garni, your parsley, bay leaf, and thyme, and use your mirepoix, your carrots, onion, and celery. Let it cook down.
But if you don't have a mirepoix, it's okay to just go ahead and just boil off the chicken and just at least capture that flavor.
Yep, capture the flavor.
Because you can go back and season that with vegetables later.
And then you got a great soup. Also, you can use that for a great sauce. Diced up chicken you can use for chicken salad. Also something like we had this really nice barbecue chicken pizza. I used to really like that one. But anything Asian, chicken chow mein, you can use it for a stir fry. But the idea is to get that you don't waste any chicken. And actually we had a really popular dish, but we used a chicken breast on it. But it's a great flavor combination, and it was chicken Jerusalem. Chicken Jerusalem.
With artichokes?
Yeah. The 3 middle letters in Jerusalem? You know what they are?
Isn't it USA?
USA. I don't know. Maybe this is just coincidence. But anyway, chicken Jerusalem it's cream sauce with artichoke and mushrooms. Saute with your chicken. Oh, this is delicious. By far the most popular chicken dish that I've made, and by far the most abundant that I've ever made. Very popular.
Well, you could also take the pulled chicken breast and do just like you would a pulled pork sandwich. Just go ahead and toss the pulled chicken in some barbecue sauce and put it on a bun. Yeah. For a barbecue chicken sandwich.
Yeah. Or you can do some open face with a nice chicken gravy on there.
Ooh, there you go.
Bread in the bottom. Chicken chili. There's another one. I was just going through our list we got like 1,200 recipes in this app called Paprika, and I just plugged in chicken, and I just got a ton. So I just scribbled a few down. Chicken crepes, when you dice the chicken up, making a chicken crepe. Crepes are super easy to make. It's a super simple recipe. You can make a crepe in a nice
and that one pan. Is on the website.
Oh, is that on the website?
That one
the
is
crepes?
on the website. Yep,
right,
front and center.
So where do they go to find that?
Culinarilyyours.net.
Culinarily yours.
Culinarily yours.
CULINARILY.
Yeah.
Culinarily.
And if you want to cheat, just go to chefcal.net or mrschef.net. All roads lead to the same place.
All roads lead to cooking like a pro. Let's see, chicken in any kind of pasta or vegetables if you're,
Well, rice. Rice is excellent with chicken, too.
Yeah. And puttanesca, I noticed there was a recipe in there for puttanesca, and that was one you put in. Mm-hmm. My puttanesca is different because the puttanesca the name comes from Italy, and it was a dish that the ladies of the evening would make for their company that would come over. And so it's using ingredients that are very local and staples in an Italian kitchen. So it's garlic, olive oil, red pepper flakes, and capers, maybe some diced tomatoes, and some kind of a pasta, whatever pasta you want, with some chicken. But puttanesca is always going to have garlic, your olive oil, red pepper flakes, and generally, capers. And you can put parsley, a variety of things in there. But
How about something we make quite often? Chicken tacos and chicken enchiladas.
Yep, yeah, anything mixing. The thing about chicken is you can go so many different directions because what do they say? Well, it tastes like chicken. I don't care. We used to cook frog legs, and people ask, what do they taste like? Well, it tastes like chicken and trout put together. There's so many things that are, because people understand what chicken tastes like, so it's a great building point. You say, what's this taste like? Well, you had chicken before, right? And you start there with something they understand, and then just, add ingredients to it from there.
Well, even if you don't want to go with an Asian chicken salad, you could do chicken with bacon and blue cheese and go more of the ranch route.
Well, chicken is also something that's utilized in a Cobb salad. You know, and Cobb salad, of course, Cobb salad was actually originated in the Brown Derby restaurant. Brown Derby restaurant down in Los Angeles, famous restaurant back in the 40s and give or take in that area, the 50s. It used to be very popular for all the stars, and that's where the Cobb salad came from. And I remember researching it years ago and why they call it the Cobb. And Charlie Trotter gave the best explanation, and so I've always used his, which is when you get a Cobb salad, all the ingredients should be in rows. Your chicken, your bacon, your blue cheese, your corn, whatever ingredients you're using, they're in rows because corn comes in a row, and that's why it's called a Cobb.
That's a great idea, but I think it actually was named after the chef, whose name was Cobb.
I never heard of a chef named Cobb.
Yeah, I got the Brown Derby cookbook. We'll have to look that one up.
I know. You've got my Brown Derby cookbook.
Yes, I have it squirreled away.
Yeah, well, when you have 900 cookbooks, you're kind of stepping over them in our house. There's just literally, we could, wallpaper the walls with cookbooks. But anyway, so there's leftover chicken. It's just a great component. Don't let it go bad. Dice it up, freeze it in portions. However many, if you got 2 people in the family, if you're just one person, if it's 3 or 5 or 6, everyone needs about 3 ounces, and just kind of weigh that out. And when you wrap it in plastic, and then wrap it in freezer paper. You can put it in baggies if you want, but wrap it in freezer paper, because freezer paper will keep that off flavor from the freezer, like freezer burn.
Now, last thing, when you go to reheat your chicken, do not reheat it in the microwave. You will have rubber chicken.
Yeah. Well, maybe they want rubber chicken. If you want rubber chicken, that's the way you do it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment. Again, Cooking Like a Pro, Chef Cal and Mrs. Chef. Back in a moment. Welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in to Cooking Like a Pro. And so I've been looking and talking about this here, about the number of ingredients that we're dealing with, and trying to eat healthy, it's really a matter of just being aware of what you're putting in your body. And the FDA in the United States, our FDA has a total of 10,000 approved ingredients that can be in your food. 10,000.
Are there that many actually in existence?
Yeah. And to compare it, to give it some, kind of a barometer, there's 700 approved in Europe.
Okay, 700 versus 10,000?
Yeah. And I know that, one of the things that they're doing now finally is the FDA, they're coming up with a ban for red dye number 3. I mean, these are all things that they're finding as they go through and study them, that they cause cancer. They can cause just a variety of things. These ingredients that have kind of snuck their way into our food.
Well, they haven't really snuck their way in, because they're using marketing.
Well, they've been approved,
visuals to sell us that something has to be yellow or something has to be red, when in true nature they're not that color. But we have been drawn to things visually through marketing to these colors.
I think it was you guys I heard it from, like, that the color blue can't naturally be created.
Yeah. That's one thing when we did in competition, you can never do blue because you can't naturally make the color blue. I mean, blueberries are purple. Right, so so stay away from blue. Anything that a judge would see that was blue, you just kick you right out of the place. So, but I think again, it's we are what we eat, garbage in, garbage out. I mention that all the time. Just be aware of what you're eating, and I think a good, kind of parameters. If you don't understand it, you don't know it, what it is when you look at the list, then maybe don't eat it or look up and see what that is.
Well, as we start teaching people how to cook and look at ingredients, they really shouldn't have to go buy prepackaged boxed items that have been colored and have additives. Yeah,
I think the two main words that you're looking for here, folks, when it comes to preparing your food, preparing your meals, taking care of your family, the first one is processed. You want to get things that have the least amount of process. Like grinding wheat and then turning it into bread. Well, they're not adding anything to it. But if all of a sudden that's going to go to a warehouse somewhere or a distribution or, manufacturing plant, then it's going to have preservatives added to it. It's going to have, caking agents, and it's going to have all these different things that they need. And then very seldom are any of those things good for you. You want pure natural foods.
Because it takes time to take care of food.
Yeah.
And they're taking that time, and in order to make it last, they got to do something to it.
Yeah. And I think other than, or the second word rather would be organic. And make sure it's organic. If you can talk to because it can be organic all the way through the process of growing it from seeds on up. But if the soil's not organic, if the soil and the water that's being used is got components in it, there's plastics for one and everything from the air to the.
Well, they can't call it organic unless it has been pesticide free for 3 years.
Well,
the soil has been.
Yeah, well, then that's a good thing to look for. To make sure that when they say organic, that's what it is. Let's say you've got this big, field of lettuce, and it's all being prepared and grown and then processed in an organic, sense. But then you've got planes flying over, dropping chemtrails. Who knows what's in those things? Well, we do know what's in those things, and it's not good. So anyway, I'm hoping that it seems that there's a kind of a big twist, or turn rather, going in this trend of people wanting to eat more healthy, so they're feeling better, so they're living longer, especially with the loved ones you have around your house. Why would you want to give them something that's not going to be good for them?
And that's where we start in January. That's when you start to see all the shelves change. If you walk into Costco, that's what's up front. It's everything is healthy, it's organic, it's vitamins, because after Christmas, everybody's getting ready for swimsuit season. So it starts now. I used to be a personal trainer. In January, we would get that's when the clientele would start flooding in because
New Year's resolutions, and everybody's looking for what's going to happen in the summer. And we mentioned this last month was last year. Bobby Parrish. You look him up. That he has gone through a lot of these major stores, especially Costco. He's huge into Costco, and if it's Bobby approved, he looks at whether it is truly organic, whether even if it is organic, is it truly grass fed? There's multiple layers. Okay. Well, now, explain to me, since you're the tech person. So Bobby approved, is that an app that you get?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say I pull up a can of sardines, then how exactly do I put that together?
You pop open the app, so you download the app from your app store, and it's Bobby approved. And the label, the UPC label, the price code on the back, you can scan it for several stores: Costco, Whole Foods, Aldi, Amazon, Walmart, Target, and then you scan it, and it will have his review of whether it is truly safe for your body.
No, you just said Aldi. Have you ever been to an Aldi?
I have not been to an Aldi.
You know what they are?
They are a store back east. We don't have them.
They're a German store.
Really?
All German. Yeah, I went to one when I was back in Tennessee a few weeks ago, and it was totally cool. It reminded me of all the times I've been to Germany, and you see just all kinds of interesting different things. It's kind of locally, I would compare it to something like what Dan does with the grocery outlets. He's got this. You get these products in, and when they're in, they're there. When they're not, there's something else there. So they just kind of a wholesale, and you get great prices on those as well. Speaking of just healthy real quick, I got to have a shout out to Mom. Mom, I don't know if Mom's listening, but Mom, if you are, the roasted vegetable soup you made today was great. You just took and this is a great way to do it. You get maybe a poultry stock, and you roast off your vegetables, your peppers, your onions, whatever they are, and then you get that kind of umami flavor, which is that savory flavor that you're looking for from the char, and then you just blend those, to basically a puree, add them to your stock, and you've got this beautiful flavor. And she actually added some brown rice to it, but it came out great. So thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. Shout out to Mom. But again, I think you take these foods that are natural, that haven't been processed, and you just start getting creative with them. Learn, the basic fundamentals. I know in the next segment we're going to talk about a basic fundamental of making a cream sauce. And once you get that one component down, then you can make so many other things with it. But you have to know the techniques.
What are you going to put with that cream sauce? I heard something about salmon.
Oh, you can do anything with it. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But no, it's just trying to make start from the very basics. It's like somebody saying, I make a great barbecue sauce, but I can't make tomato sauce. Well, tomato sauce comes from barbecue sauce. I'm sorry, the other way around. Barbecue sauce, if you can't make a tomato sauce, you can't make a barbecue sauce, because barbecue sauce is tomato sauce with just, mustard, red wine vinegar, and brown sugar added to it. You take those 3 ingredients and add it to tomato sauce, and now you have barbecue sauce. The challenge with the barbecue sauce now is there's so much, high fructose corn syrup in it, which has got to be, if food had, like the most wanted posters, did they still have those in the post office?
I don't know. I don't go to the post office.
Ben, do they still have wanted posters up in the post office? Yeah.
I don't know about the post office, but I've seen them at Walmart.
At Walmart? Yeah, I could see that. Well, Ben, I seen a picture look just like you on the side of a carton of milk. And that worried me. But you're here today, so.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, so I don't feel quite, I was worried a little bit. But yeah, they should take and just say, okay, these things aren't good for you. High fructose corn syrup. Different things that you might see, and you just need to stay with. Ketchup is one. Now, there's certain things I like ketchup on. I like a little bit of ketchup with my fries, but if you make one where you're able to control some of that sugar, because ketchup has so much sugar in it, and it's really got sodium too, because remember, sodium is is the flavor enhancer that makes it addictive, because it's that salt. But then they put so much sugar in it, you can't. It keeps it from being salty. Even though it's overly salted, the sugar counterbalances. It's kind of the theory behind Asian food. Your Asian sauces, your sweet and sour, your teriyaki, those kind of things. On the orange sauce, anything almost in an Asian restaurant. You're pretty much up against that. So anyway, just kind of keep an eye on it, folks. Look at the label and, see what you got. And again, we'd really like, people, if they have questions, and I do actually have a question, because that question, the cream sauce came from a question. But again, go to Cooking Like a Pro, podcast.net. You can type one in there if you don't want to call and you don't want to, be on the air, then you can do that. But, we're here to be able to answer questions as well. And if we can't answer it, then we'll probably just lie about it, because obviously you don't know it. I can get a pretty good guess on pretty much most things. I've been blessed to have worked with some of the best in the world, and you kind of just gleam from being next to these amazing French chefs. So I was lucky in that. So we're going to take our last final break here, and then we'll come back. So we appreciate you tuning in. So back for another 13 minutes after this quick break. Cooking Like a Pro. Back in just a moment.
Everyone would be in love with me.
All right, welcome back. Again, you are at Cooking Like a Pro, Chef Cal and Mrs. Chef. And okay, so cedar plank salmon. All right, so I sanded down my cedar planks and, cut them up in 8-inch pieces and then lightly oiled them. And then you cook those planks. So you got this cedar plank.
So, but first off, you went and got these from like Home Depot, just a package of cedar?
Yeah, of untreated cedar. Yes, you want untreated cedar. And I've had this on several of my restaurants that we ran this. And you just take a nice fillet. You want the fillet to be both boneless and skinless. You don't want any skin on there. You want that removed. And then you just spread a little bit of olive oil on the plank. You set your salmon fillet. Remember, beef is filet, F-I-L-E-T, like filet mignon. But a fish is fillet, F-I-L-L-E-T, 2 L's instead of 1. So you take your salmon fillet and you set that on the cedar. I would recommend setting the cedar on the barbecue first, just to kind of warm it up. You can do that in an oven.
Well, how do you prepare the planks? So you pull them out of the box from Home Depot.
Yeah, you cut them in 8-inch pieces.
And then what do you do?
You sand them up, and then I barbecue them.
Can you sand them with just hand sandpaper, or do you need a rotary sander type thing? Or?
Oh no, hand sandpaper would be fine. I actually used a rotary sander that I got from Dad. But then a little bit of oil on there, just lightly oil the salmon. The salmon is sitting on this plank. Sprinkle it with some, fresh minced shallots and some fresh chopped garlic and a little chopped parsley. Little secret salt, the 2-part salt, 1 part white pepper, 1 part granulated garlic, and it just puts that light layer of flavor on it. And then that's pretty it. So you're cooking this salmon, you're baking it in the oven. I would set it on a cookie sheet, but you're baking it in the oven on this grilled piece of cedar, and you just get that beautiful flavor.
Do you wrap it in parchment?
No, well, you can wrap it in like in papier, like the French would call it, in that kind of paper, but we used to put it in a paper bag, like a little lunch sack. We put the plank and the salmon in the lunch sack, close the lunch sack with a, like a wood, laundry clothespin. Yeah. And then just bake it in the oven. Because, the oven doesn't have, open flame. Right? It's just a box that's got flame underneath. So, it's not going to catch on fire. And then I remember we pull it out, bring it out to the table. And when you pull the plank out of that paper in front of the guest, you just get that whiff of fresh salmon. It's, so good.
So how do you know that it's done? Because you can't see it because it's wrapped up.
Because it takes 7 to 8 minutes in a 500-degree oven. I mean, you just know from doing it how long it takes. Now, at home, I would go, between 10 to 12 minutes in a 400-degree oven because that's going to give someone a little more time. But, how thick is the salmon? Well, they're all going to be a little bit, they could be a little bit different.
Can you do the touch test like you do meat, especially if you're touching the paper? You can feel the tension under the paper.
Yeah. Yeah, you just, maybe the first time you're practicing, you're pulling it out and you're saying, wow, 400 degrees, it took exactly 11 minutes. Write that down and now you're set.
How big of a piece of salmon is this? How many ounces is it?
About 6 to 7 ounces. The portions for entrees, proteins, are getting smaller. It used to be you wanted a 10-ounce steak or an 8-ounce piece of chicken or maybe an 8-ounce piece of seafood, fish, finfish, maybe sole, halibut, salmon, and that was what people were eating. But now, the portions are quite a bit smaller. One, the costs have gone up. But I know that if we get a 8-ounce piece of fish that I cook at home, we split it. It's good enough for 2 of us. So, that's going to depend on how much a person eats. But, right now, a lot of the portions people are eating around 5 to 6 ounces of actual protein because they're adding a starch. Maybe it's a grain. That's a good way to go. With this particular recipe, a grain would be fantastic. I was talking to a chef friend of mine that's helped me with my cookbook, and Chef Herb, and he sent me a really nice recipe on a tamarind rice. I think it was made with basmati or something, but any kind of a grain, couscous would be good. Polenta, I just made some polenta. That's a real simple. Those grains are all simple to make. Okay. Some things like barley or wild rice that take a long time to cook, but most of them are cooked real simple, real quick.
The polenta you made a couple of nights ago, super creamy. Tell me exactly how you made that.
Well, I started with a poultry stock. I whisked in and you could just use a vegetable stock if you want to make it vegetarian. And then you just whisk your cornmeal into it.
How much?
It's going to be it's 2 parts water to 1 part polenta. If you want to make polenta that you can roll up in plastic and cut into discs where it's real firm, and then you can grill that. A lot of people will do that with polenta. But if you want a creamy polenta, it's 3 to 1. So it's like 1 part. So let's say a part would be a cup. If it was 1 cup of polenta, it'd be 1 to 3. Then it'd be 3 parts stock. So it'd be 3 cups of stock. And that'll give you a creamy polenta. But also I added cream to that. And I added, what was that white cheese that we had in there?
That's a cheddar.
That cheddar?
It's from Costco. It is called Coastal Cheddar.
Costco should be like a sponsor. We mention them way too much.
Costco and Trader Joe's. Yeah.
But, it was great. So you want a little bit of cheese in there. Usually I'll use a blue vein cheese. A lot of them that I just love for different things. Gorgonzola, of course, is one of my favorite. Another blue vein cheese, Silton's great. And there's a variety of just blue cheeses. And remember, a blue cheese needs to be spelled B-L-E-U. Yes. If it's spelled blue, like the color blue, then, who knows where it came from. Maybe.
Now, how much cheese did you put? So let's say you did a cup of the... Now, is it called polenta or is it called...
It's cornmeal.
Cornmeal.
But then when you make it, it's polenta.
Okay, so let's say you're doing a creamy polenta. You did 1 cup of cornmeal, let's say 3 cups of chicken stock. Mm-hmm. How much cheese? How much of that white cheddar cheese?
Yeah, maybe about 3 to 4 ounces. Then I use some secret salt, and that's all that I put in there. But, I mean, you could put diced peppers. You could go nuts, sauteed mushrooms. But, we wanted something just kind of simple that was going with the fish we did.
Did you add the cheese while it was cooking or when you finished it, after the cornmeal was cooked?
Once the cornmeal is cooked, it only takes, it just takes about, again, 4 or 5 minutes, and then just add the cream, heavy cream, and some cheese to it. It's
just
probably
a couple ounces of cream? Yeah,
I think I had 2 ounces of cream, about 4 ounces of cheese. But, again, now if you want to go healthy, don't add cream. Don't add cheese. It's still going to be a nice soft polenta, maybe not be creamy. Or you could use a different type of cream. You could use, or you could just use milk. Maybe use a different kind of milk. Use an almond milk. That's up to you and whatever it is that you want to finally come out. But we do, again, appreciate you tuning in and listening to us ramble and talk about food. I really enjoy this. We've been getting closer on the cookbook.
And the vegetable booklet I just finished last night, so I'll be wrapping it up and getting that
on the
website.
Yeah, and they'll be able to get that on the website.
Yeah.
They can go to all kinds of places to get that.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. Until next time, we hope you'll be cooking up a storm in the kitchen. So we'll be with you again next week with food, flavor, and fun right here on Cooking Like a Pro podcast.